Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, our honored ritual director and myself, we had the good fortune of being in Israel together. Being in Israel at the same time.
Oh, we were together at several points.
We were together at several moments, but we both just came back from just about 10 days in the Holy Land, and we thought we would talk about that experience, our little mini mission to Israel. But first, I did think that it is important for us to look at some Torah from our Torah reading. Ritual director.
Yes, Rabbi.
Was there a part of the Torah reading that stuck out to you this year?
I mean, it's hard to ignore Torah reading, a lot of weird stuff going on in there. But what stuck out to me this year more than other years, I guess.
What was weird? What was weird?
I mean, it's weird. It's a weird parsha. It's funny for me. The donkey part is not the part that actually bothers me. But what stuck out to me this year was the recurring number 7. 7 altars, 7 bulls, this recurrence of the number 7, which I thought was odd coming from, this pagan, idolatrous prophet. And 7 is a holy number for us as Jews. So there is I think a midrashic explanation that these altars are sort of connected to sort of 7 righteous people from our tradition. Supposed to evoke that. And that's what sort of
Who are the 7 righteous people?
Oh, you're going to quiz me on that now. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, I think Noach is in there, Adam, Moshe, and someone else.
I think
Joshua.
There's also a list of 7 prophetesses, 7 women prophets.
That I don't know from.
And on the idea of 7, Ibn Ezra had this whole long commentary where he was like, you might have noticed, Ibn Ezra, he was in the 1100s, he was like, you might have noticed that 7 comes up a lot in this parsha. This is very spiritual, those who know. And he winks to the reader on the page. But
by the way, Ibn Ezra winks a lot at you in
all
of his poetry and all of his commentary. I love it. It's good stuff. Yeah, no, it's good.
Well, yes, so 7. One of the things that stood out to me in this week's Parsha was an idea that I was looking at with the Parsha class this morning, which is both Balak, the king, and Bilam, the prophet. Their names in Hebrew both mean destruction. Mm-hmm. Yes. So they're coming together in order to do this task of cursing Bnei Israel, cursing the people, bringing destruction and doom on them. And what happens to Bilam's words? What happens to the prophet's words? He swallows them. So just just like the Hebrew verb for to swallow, he's unable to say exactly what it is that he wants to say because he can only say what God puts in his mouth. And the Sfat Emet teaches from that. I love the Sfat Emet.
I do know you love that Sfat Emet.
The Sfat Emet teaches from that we all actually have a little bit of prophecy within us, and that every time we go to speak, we're taking some essence of God that's within us and putting it out into the world. How did the Sfat Emet get there? Because Bilam isn't Jewish, so he also has this act of prophecy. So Kal v'chomer, all the more so do all of we.
I think also dogs, right? In the Gemara, dogs also have an element of prophecy.
I didn't know that, but I definitely.
Also crazy people.
Yes, that is also in the Gemara. Did you find a link in our parsha to Israel?
I mean, yeah, there's a big link in the parsha to Israel.
Okay, what did you see? Because that will transition us into our time in Israel.
Well, God definitely talking about us being in the land and building appropriate worship in the land, right? Not the apostasy of what is happening at Baal Peor, right? Or heresy is a word I like to use. But appropriate, meaningful worship in the land of Israel, and specifically the city of Jerusalem, the place that I choose. This is what I gained from this.
Do you know what the Sfat Emet says about this?
No, because I don't read the Sfat Emet as regularly as you do.
The Sfat Emet says yes, that this parsha is very much about building appropriate places of worship in Eretz Yisrael. But because he's writing from Poland, he also has like a desire to let his readers, let his students know that like he's okay, like you don't have to be in Israel. And there's this line right after the Matovu that says that there are springs of water flowing through the world. And the Sfaraman is like, and from there we learn that God is actually not only in Israel, but that God flows throughout to every geographical location that we might find ourselves. And
But that's because of that midrash that all of the wells in the world come from Eben Shtia. The foundation stone.
Right. The foundation stone.
Which is in Eretz Yisrael.
I found this midrash comforting, because I think it was hard for both of us to leave Israel.
It gets harder every time.
And there was it was nice to see that, okay, even though we've like left this makom, left this place, that we're still close to God. And what were you doing in Israel?
Oh, I was mostly visiting people and seeing some of the new things that I haven't seen in a long time. So I was fortunate enough to stay with Cantor's and Shazi's daughter, Sarah, in Jerusalem, who is the hostess with the mostess.
Oh.
Very grateful to Sarah for her hospitality. And it was nice to be, she lives in Jerusalem, and it was nice to be sort of centered there. So my favorite place in Israel is Jerusalem. And it was nice,
mine too.
Yeah, to just sort of be there and sort of like exist in a non-programmed way. You know, like when you're staffing a trip, or when you have to be at this place at 9 o'clock, or you have to be at this place, and if you don't come, the bus will leave you. Like they did. Remember that last time, that guy that we left at Yad Vashem? So it happens that you miss the bus. To be in Israel and to not be programmed was really a lovely, lovely thing, and that was really nice for me.
I was doing exactly the opposite.
Yes, I know.
I was there on a very heavily programmed program of Torah study, where I was supposed to be in the Beit Midrash, in the house of study, looking at a page of Talmud every morning by 9 a.m.
See, that sounds nice, but not at 9 a.m.
It was great. It was great. So I was there learning Torah at a place called Pardes. Pardes runs both short-term and long-term Torah learning opportunities for people of all ages, all skill sets. And I took a class on Talmud, a class on breathing through the mystical Jewish tradition, a class on teaching Torah, and a class on conversion. All in 2 weeks.
Sounds very programmed to me.
Oh, it was super programmed. I was in class all day. But one of my favorite things that I did outside of class was our little excursions together. So we were able to meet up 3 or 4 times.
We were pretty close to each other.
Yeah,
so
we were
easy.
in the same area of Jerusalem. And we went to the Kotel. We went to the Western Wall together.
Yeah.
And
it was nice. Yeah, we went to daven to pray at the Egalitarian Plaza at the Kotel, which, if you've not been, the Azarat Yisrael is run by the Masorti organization, the conservative movement in Israel. And it's a place, if you've been to the Kotel, it's run by the Rabbi of the Western Wall, who is, it's under Orthodox auspices. There was a lot of legislation to try and create an egalitarian space for prayer at the Kotel.
Well, why might that be needed? Like, what's the issue?
Because not everybody is Orthodox, right?
And
people want to pray together, with no mechitza, to pray together biyachad, which there is historical evidence to support, by the way, that people did pray at the Kotel with no mechitza before 1967, when the plaza was put in and the rabbinate took it over. So, having this space to pray in a way that I find meaningful is really, it's nice. It's nice to have it, to have that option.
So we were both there in the morning with our talitot, with our tefillin. Talitot, tefillin, and we were the only 2 people at the egalitarian part of the Kotel. There was no one else there.
It was quiet. It was really quiet. Most of the Kotel is very hustly bustly. Not the egalitarian plaza. Very quiet. Very nice.
Except below us, like 20 feet below us, it's the
Davidson Archaeological Center.
Right. So there was a tour group being led, and we could like hear the tour guide saying like, I don't think that they were Jewish.
I don't think they were either.
The tour guide leader, she was like, this is the Kotel. This is the Wailing Wall. Jews pray to the wall. And I was like, no, we're not praying.
The best part was when she said, she's like, write a note to the Kotel.
Write a
not
note
to God, to the wall.
To the wall. And I was like, no. It's like, what is this site? The Kotel is this site where it's the external wall of what used to be the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, where sacrifices used to be given up until the destruction. And as we were sitting there praying, prayer is what has replaced sacrifices.
Temporarily.
What has replaced sacrifices for us. And I just felt like how amazing this is to be able to sit here and to stand here with my prayer book in my prayer garb and to be connected to over 2,000 years of Jewish history that has happened right here in this place. There's no more spiritual home besides Bethel, but there's no more spiritual home that I can imagine or achieve. And at the same time, there was like a wedding happening, maybe
nearby,
like 100 meters away, and we kept on hearing the DJ pounding music into the air. It was quite an experience.
Well, so to your point, what you were saying earlier about the Svat Emet and how God flows to everywhere else.
Everywhere we go, God is still there.
I will say, prayer hits different in Israel. It does. I think for me, prayer really does hit different in Israel.
For me too.
I think there's an old joke, something about a direct telephone line to God from Jerusalem, which it does. It hits different. Prayer, you can pray anywhere. God is everywhere. It's all true. But the connection that we have to the land and the connection we have to those places, it's like for real, an actual honest to God touchstone to our history, to our heritage, and our connection to God. And it's so meaningful for me to be able to pray. In Israel, I get a lot out of it. I get a lot of prayer anyway, but it's like extra, like prayer on steroids in Israel. It's a little extra.
I totally agree. Do you identify as a religious Zionist?
Yeah.
I also, within a broad...
Yes, a broad
spectrum
sure.
of religious Zionism.
Yeah.
And there was my last day in Israel, and I did tell this to both of you, but I'll say it to everyone. My last day in Israel, I took my prayer book and I went to a little park that was by where I was staying, and I prayed the Amidah, the standing whispered prayer, outside for 20 minutes. Normally, this is a prayer that, you could do in like 5 minutes, 7 minutes, but every single word of it, especially on Shabbat when we pray the Amidah, there's a selection that we don't say on Shabbat that we do say during the week, and those 4 brachot, those 4 blessings, are all about the return to Jerusalem, of seeing Jerusalem rebuilt, of seeing our Jewish community kind of reunited within Jerusalem. And I had to pause every 2 words, because there I was literally saying those words as I was there. Incredibly magnificent and amazing, while at the same time recognizing that my type of Judaism is not the normative Judaism within Israel, and there were, I didn't wear a kippah while I was there.
So you should have come with me to the Fuchsberg Center, where there is our type of Judaism.
Yes,
the United Synagogue has a base in Israel. I davened with them twice, and it was really nice. It was nice to be with other conservative Jews in Israel, to daven the way we like to daven. It was nice. It was really a beautiful thing for me.
Closing thoughts?
Everybody should go to Israel all the time. You should go to Israel, you should go to eat, you should go to learn, you should go to be. And it does get harder to come back every time, but I thought about you all a lot. I checked my emails every day.
I did not.
It's hard to be away from Bethel, a place which is our spiritual home also, right? And to have these 2 connections, beautiful spiritual connections to have, we're very fortunate.
if you would like to join Benjamin and I on another trip to Israel sometime, or perhaps opening up the Bethel location, satellite location in Jerusalem, please come talk to us at Kiddush. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure eating with you.
It was a pleasure eating with you. Probably a favorite experience of mine was we got some soup together one night, rosé.
You got the Zionist soup, yeah. It was
I
good.
did get the Zionist soup.
Yeah.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
We'll continue in our Shabbat prayers.